Oh, I'm so happy you're here with me to draw. Look at our fun gnomes we're going to make today. They are ready for the holidays. Okay, well, let's start with our paper horizontal. And you guys, if you've drawn with me before, you know that I'm going to use a Sharpie, but you can use a pencil or whatever you would like, whatever you feel most comfortable with, okay? Now we are going to fit 3 gnome friends across our paper. We're going to start with the first one in the center. And I'm going to make the bottom of his hat. I'm going to start with that line. And it's just a little bit of a curve any which way you want to make it. Now I'm going to come up and curve it. And however it ends up is fine. It doesn't have to match mine exactly. Now we're going to curve this line up and around a little bit, and I'm going to get it closer together at the spot that I left off. Then I can add a little circle at the top for the little ball on the end of their hat. Now the gnomes are so fun because their little beards come down, and you can just make our little zigzag lines all the way, and we're just going to sort of come around with it like the letter U, and we can just zigzag, zigzag, and then end up at that line we started with. Okay, now the fun part about our gnomes is you don't see their eyes. They're so cute. So we're going to start that little circle. It's going to bump and jump into the hat so that we don't see the little top part. So their hat covers their eyes and part of their nose. Now we can add their little clothes. So I'm just going to kind of pick a spot. I'm just going to pick a little, I'm going to start right here. And I'm going to come down, not too much farther down than his beard. And then I'm just going to come up wherever it lands. So it's sort of like a rounded square or rectangle that's going to be what he's wearing. Now his little arms can come right around where we stopped that whatever he's wearing. My arm's going to come into a diagonal line and then back to his body. A little diagonal line out and then back to his body. Then we can add a little line for a detail of his sleeve. And those little hands, we can just make a curved line. We'll make it super easy. We'll just make a little curved line to look like his hands, or if he has mittens or gloves on. Now his little feet, most of his feet are covered up with his, I don't really want to say a dress, like what do gnomes wear, you guys? I don't even know. What is that, a little robe or a shirt? I don't know. I'll have to look that up. What do gnomes wear? All right, so our little feet, they're just a little like oval kind of rectangle shape on the bottom. And we can start our next one. So we're going to move over here to the right. And I have that little hat. It's kind of like a Santa's hat at the top. Now this is kind of a fun bubble out and then up, bubble out and then get closer together. And it can have a little poof on the top. Now our noses can be different sizes and different shapes. You can make that one more ovally if you want. Remember, you guys, also, if I'm going fast, you just pause and go at your own pace, and then you can play it. And you can always watch it and then try it out if you want. That's another way to follow along. So this little gnome friend is going to have a sort of a curved poof beard. And he's not going to be quite so big and long as this friend in the center. So I'm going going to make his little gnome clothes. That's what I'll call them, gnome clothes. Just come down a little bit, kind of like that, but it's much shorter. Now his little arms are going to be back behind him, so we're just going to make a curve from his beard, and then it's going to stop at that line for what he's wearing. And our little feet shape can just bubble out and back in. Little curved line. And our second gnome is done. Aren't these fun? They're so easy. And you can make the little hats all different. You can make their beard shapes different. The way that their the outline is, like this one's zigzag and this one's curved in. So you can just play around with them and have fun. All right, this last one, let's see, he's going to be over here on the left side. Let's start that hat shape. I'm going to curve kind of down and make kind of a rectangle-ish shape. And this hat's going to curve really, it's going to be a nice big loop. So I'm going to come out, start to go in, and then curve out again and swirl almost. Then I'm going to come right back to that end, and I'm going to keep it real close together at the beginning, and then I'm going to start to get it farther apart, and then curve it all the way back down to that beginning shape. Now his beard is going to be fun and sort of a straight beard, and then it's going to curve at the end. So I'm going to bubble it out and almost like a little swirl again. I'm going to come close, and then I'm curving in, and then I'm going to curve right back out up to the edge where we started that hat. And let's give that little nose at the top. Now you don't really see their mouth, but we can just make a fun little line like he's happy. You know, we can do what we want in our drawings. They don't have to be realistic. These are super fun little cartoony kind of gnomes anyway, right? Okay, now let's make his arms like he's got his arms raised up. We're going to make a diagonal line coming off of the beard. And let's curve that. Curve it. I'm going to work both sides just so I can sort of stay symmetrical. So you guys remember, when you're symmetrical, the same thing is happening on either side. So when we have a little figure like this, we want their arms to look as close the same as we can. All right, now I'm going to come down close to the beard, down close to the beard, and then it's just going to sort of curve straight down, and we can wiggle that line at the bottom a little bit to make it look like fabric, and we're done. Now let's give him some mittens on top. So I'm going to curve all the way around, but stop, and then just a little bump out and back down. Curve all the way around, stop, and a little bump for his thumb and back down. And let's give him some little shoes, almost like the nose shape, right? Just a little oval down at the bottom. And look at our 3 gnomes already done. Oh my goodness, you guys did great. Now, if we want any patterns in their hats, those are super fun to do. You can draw out any patterns, or if you want to wait and color the pattern, you can. So on this center one, I just did some stripes. And if you want to curve that line just a little bit, it can act like that hat is, give it a little bit of a rounded look, like a 3-dimensional illusion. All right, now our horizon line is way back in the distance. Do you see how my trees are super, super small back there? So we're going to bump and jump into all of these hats. Are you ready? Okay, we are going to start on one side of our paper. I'm going to start kind of low, and then I'm going to curve my line up. When I get to the hat, stop, bump into it, jump over it. I'm going to wiggle that line down, bump into this hat, jump over it, curve my line up, 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 bump into that hat, jump over it, and my line goes down. Now for my trees, remember when we have our horizon line in the background, we have it separates our ground from our sky. So that is going to look like it's really far away. So when we have anything drawn on our horizon line, we're going to make it much, much smaller than our subjects in the front, in the foreground. Okay, so my trees are super, super small back there. And I didn't really draw exactly every line. I'm going to show you guys what I did. I just made little, almost like a little jagged zigzags for my trees. And they can point down, they can point up. You can do whatever you want. Some might be much smaller, but they don't have to be exact. Okay, don't worry about exact. I'm going to even leave a bunch of lines out on this one. Just a few hints of what it is what we're trying to do. So just a few little hints, like a little zigzag here, a little zigzag there. Then when you color it in, you can color it all within that area, but it's way back there. So we're not really seeing super, super detailed lines of whatever is back there, okay? And I think I'm finished for this part. So when you go to color your picture, and remember, you can practice it once, and if you're not super happy with it, draw it all over again. The more times you draw it, the better you're going to be. Always remember that. You can practice, super quick little sketchy practice, and then get your good paper and do it for real. But don't worry, don't stress. If you don't like it, try it again. And you guys can always use the one you love the most. So can you tell what I did in this background? Did you guys watch my bear with a sweater draw along? I showed you in that how to do our crayon resist. And I'm telling you what, I used so much white crayon on my ground and the little dots for the snow in the sky. And I painted over that. I was careful not to paint into my gnome beards, to leave those white, but everything else I just brushed over lightly with the blue paint to make it look snowy like our icy ground. Okay, I hope you guys had a great time drawing your fun holiday gnomes. Okay, so don't forget, if you liked it, click like, and you can subscribe to come back and do more videos with me. Have fun and always be creative.